Welcome back, everybody. Today we're working on a 99 Chevy Silverado 1500 LS extended cab with the 4.8 liter engine in it. And we're doing a water pump, and we're doing the tensioner pulley and the idler pulley because he's got a bit of a squeak. So we're going to try out a new tool today. I went out and bought me a fan clutch wrench. It's a 4-in-1 wrench. Looks like that. There's your part number, 647750. And so let's get into this. So let's get this baffle off so we can get to the tensioner. I got an idea. Since we got to take this apart anyway to get to the water pump, let's go ahead and just take this off now. Make sure that it's not attached anywhere else. Got to get it off the other side here. And actually we could probably take it off right here, this clamp. Screwdriver in there and put it back on it. I should get this to come off. Don't lose your gasket. I'll tell you what, this thing wants to fight me today, so in true Ranger Auto fashion, we will fight back as soon as we figure out how we need to do that. Come on. Alright, well, we can go plan B with this then, which is we unhook the mass airflow sensor. We pull these 4 top screws and pull the top off. I think that's how most people do it. They just take the top of the air cleaner off. Now I understand why. Because to try to do it any other way is just insanity. So we'll just take the top of the air cleaner off. The hose goes with it. We can get to our tensioner. We're going to tighten down the tensioner, and then we're going to go after that nut. First truck I've ever worked on down here that actually has all of its screws in it. So whoever he bought this truck from took care of it. Pull this up. We gotta lift it up past the other stuff here. Probably take that clamp loose on that hose and it'll come right up out of it. This is how I'm gonna do it. Take this reservoir tank loose. Maybe. There we go. And we can pick that up and out of there. this up and out of here. We've got a nice clean filter. Put that over there and then we'll deal with it later. Alright. Okay, new plan. We're going to leave the pulley on, the fan on, we're going to leave the fan on, okay? And we're just going to pull the pump off, and then we're going to set it on the bench and we're going to break it off that way. Because then that way, I can actually put some vice grips on it and we can wrench on that pump all we want because we're not saving it. So, we're going to go ahead and get this drained. This truck, and I got to show you this. This is pretty convenient. I don't know if they all are supposed to be this way or not, but I'm going to show you this really neat little thing here. Take you off the pod so you can see. This truck comes with its own drain hose for the radiator. See right there? That's the drain hose for the radiator. So I guess you pull it out of there, you open up the drain plug down there, and it drains down inside the drain pan. I wish all vehicles came with that. That is the neatest thing I've seen so far on this truck. So let's go ahead and get that draining. So we'll pull our hose down out of our retainer, feed it down between the frame and the truck. Okay, then we gotta aim our drain pan so that we hit our drain pan right where we want it. Okay. Then we'll open up our drain valve, which is just a regular turn plug here. I'll tell you what, this truck has got a lot of rust on it. I'm kind of worried about it, really. But as long as it runs. Plug's a little hard to get out. Usually you don't have to use a pair of pliers on these because they usually turn pretty easy, but this one just wants to be difficult. It's never been opened. All right. There we go. That's turning. Let's see if we can get it to drain. Ah, there we go. It's draining. Yay, we got it draining. Let's open that up and let that drain. Alright, while that's draining, we need to get the upper radiator hose off. We're going to take it off over here on the pump side. Let's see, we need to get the hose off that runs the coolant for the throttle body. We need to get that pulled off so we can get this upper shroud off. So while that's draining, let's get this upper part broke down, and then we'll pull the bolt, and then we'll start pulling the bolts out of the water pump and get the water pump off. Let's get this hose pulled back so we can get it off this big hose here. So we'll pull these this little mini hose here off of the shroud. Pull that back and away. Alright, and then we got to get the upper hose off. So that's going to be that hose clamp right there. So let's get that hose clamp pulled back. I also want to see what kind of coolant they had in here because it should have Dexcool in it. Looks like pretty ugly looking Dexcool from what I can tell. Alright, so we got to pull this clamp right here. So we'll take our attachment clamp and pull it back up here a little bit. Get it out of our way. Open up our clamp pliers so we can get that clamp loose. Okay, we gotta clamp it and then tighten the clamp pliers down. That's what we do with that, is we lock it on, and then tighten the screw down, and then we can get in there and we can lock that in like that and get that thing moved. Now if you want to, since this has a lock on it, this clamp does, you can tighten your pliers up to max tilt, squeeze that until that little latch attaches itself to the clamp. I think that's what a lot of people do. And then when you're ready to release it, you just trip it with a screwdriver, which is something we could do here if the clamp will latch. I don't have a screwdriver with me, or I could get that thing to latch. We need to pull it up off of here though. We need to move our plastic piece here, so we gotta unlock this from the hose so we can get the hose off of here. We gotta pull this up so we can get to that, pull that clamp up so it's off the power steering pump. See, the only problem with doing it this way is this, you gotta reset your vice grips when you get ready to put it back together. Alright, and then we gotta grab, rotate your hose, or try to rotate your hose so we can get it off the water pump. If you have a pick or a short screwdriver, you can stick it down in there and break the seal on it. I do happen to have a pick today. Alright, well it don't want to come off, so we're going to have to do... Oh, okay, so we got to... Alright, so we got a clamp right there we got to take off. I'm going to pull it off the radiator too. We got to open up that clamp. Get this upper hose off, and then we can start getting into this radiator, or into this water pump. Alright, let's see here. This is a... Oh, okay. This is one of those kind you gotta slide to the side, I think. Okay, let's see. Or we can just do this. I think it's one of these kind. You gotta get in there with a pick. You gotta push like that, and then you can pop it up with a screwdriver. There we go. You can pull this hose out of the retainer. Alright, we're going to do it the other way. As you can see, I got my vice grips attached to the radiator side. And so I'm going to show you how to get this hose off a little differently. So we got that off, so we're about to pull this off the radiator. We got our drain pan down there, but there shouldn't be any coolant. You know, there is a little coolant left in the hose, but we'll take our vice grips off, and we're going to take this hose and we're going to rotate it. And the theory is, when you rotate this hose, it's supposed to come off the water pump. But I guess like the fan clutch, we're going to have to leave the hose on the water pump, take it off on the bench. So we're going to set this hose over here, and if it decides it wants to come loose during the course of the video, we'll definitely welcome it. Alright, so we got to get this off next. There's two, I think they're 10mm bolts here, and we got two panel clips down here on each side, so we got to get those loose. So I have my panel pliers, so we're going to pick these up, and maybe pick these up. Alright. Ah, there we go. Not exactly how I was going to do it, but it works. Set those up there. Now these, usually you just pull the center up and then they come right out. These want to be a pain. I might have to go get my other panel pliers. Get that one out. You got two of them over here too. And on these kind, you got to look for the recess. There's a recess in there where you can grab them with your panel pliers, lift up on them. And the reason I'm wiggling on them is so that I can get them to come loose. But it looks like I'm gonna have to go get my other panel pliers. So I'll go do that and I'll be right back. All right, so let's finish getting these clips out. Got to get down in here, and we're just going to squeeze on these clips here and pop these clips up. Ah! Try not to break them because I don't have replacements. I might have to grab them with a pair of needle noses, especially because those won't fit down in there. See if I can get this thing to rotate. It's right up against this PCM cover, and it's just, the grabs are in the wrong spot. If I can turn this thing to where I can get my other pliers on it, that would be great. There we go. And then I can get my other pliers in there and pop it up like this. You got to push it down in there as far as you can go with it, and then you can pick up on the center. Do it gently, otherwise you'll break the head off the top of this clip, and then you're having to change the clip out. Come on. I don't know why it's so hard to come out. It's just plastic. It's not moving. Why is it not moving? I got the same issue on this side over here too. I got a couple on this side I got to get. Now that one popped right up. See if I can get this one back here to pop right up. Now that one's turned the wrong way. You got to turn it. I can get to it. I don't know why they stuff these back in here like that and then they don't turn them the right direction. This one I might be able to get from the side. Down in here like this. See if we can get my tool down in there. GM and their damn push clips. Might be able to get this one to pop out. That one popped. And the center fell on the ground, but fortunately it did not break. I was able to grab the centers. We're good. All right, so we got this one here we can get out. So we gotta get that one to pop up. Set that over there. And this one over here we can get to come out. Got that one out, so we'll set that one over there. So the only one left to get out is this stubborn one over in the corner here. And I might just have to get nasty with it. Ah. Well, that's sketchy AF. I know that's not a good idea. All right, let's try it this way then. Let's get we might just have to tug on it when we get the bolts out of the top of it. Might just have to tug on it. Hope not, because that's just not how you do things around here. But let me get my sometimes I can get them to come out with a pair of needle nose pliers. get a pair of needle nose down in here like this, and you just kind of squeeze on it and just kind of, there we go. That'll work. And we didn't break it. Best part about the whole damn thing. All right. Get our pan. And get these two screws out of the top and get this top cover off. All right, go ahead and zip these out real quick. And this shroud should come up now. Alright, let's get this shroud up. We gotta watch our hose. Get our shroud up and out of here. We don't have to pull the bottom, we just have to pull the top. Alright, so we got the top shroud off. Alright, so the next thing we gotta do is get the belt off. So, we're going to change this pulley and this pulley, okay? So, let's get the belt off. Then we'll go after the water pump bolts. Get the water pump off, and then we'll get the hose off the water pump. We'll get the fan blade off the water pump. Put it all on the new one and be going on again. All right, so let's see. We got to get the belt off. That's over here. So we'll grab our belt tensioner tool that we had earlier. We'll put it in here and then we'll pull forward. Loosen up tension on the belt. Now, fortunate enough for us, we have a tensioner chart on here, so we can, or a belt chart, so we know where the bolts go. So we can go ahead and pull the belt off in confidence because we'll be able to put it back on. All right, now we're moving down the road. All right, let's pull this belt off of here. All right. You don't have to pull it all the way off. You just got to pull it far enough off to where it's off the water pump. All right, so let's see. We got 2, 3, 4. Oh, we got to pull the thermostat housing too. So that's going to be a mess right there. We're going to have to pull that thermostat housing. Alright, so let's get that broke loose. We'll get a drain pan under there to catch that. Ooh, this is yellow. Not good, that means it's old. Alright, we'll dump this in our bucket. That way we don't have to worry about making a big mess everywhere. Alright, we got that right about where we need it. We're going to go ahead and take them thermostat bolts out. There's 2 of them. Look like they're 10 millimeter. They might be 8 millimeter, I'm not sure. GM usually doesn't do smaller than a 10. And if they do, it's a 7. So we're going to get you over here where you can see the water pump. See, we're going to be right down there. So, get this bolt out up here. We're going to need a short extension. Probably be easier if we could get the fan off, but we can do it with the fan on. Kind of have no choice at the matter, so I'm going to go ahead and get our socket in there. Probably do it better if we could get a longer extension go in between the blades. Yeah, we're putting a thermostat in here too because it's part of the water pump, so you want to make sure that you get that done. We got to pull these 2 hoses off. water pump bolts up here. Okay, we got another bolt down here. And pull that bolt off there. We got a heater bolt, or not a heater bolt, but a heater hose here. Heater hose here we got to get on this side, and then this side will be clear. I think there's another bolt down here in the bottom corner. No. All right, I think that's it. Pull that off and let it drain into our coolant. Make sure our bucket's catching everything. There we go. We don't need the shop cat catching that and getting sick. So we're going to drain that down. While that's draining down, we got to pull the belt tensioner off because it's part of the water pump. So let's pull the belt tensioner off. I think that's a 13 or a 15. I'm not sure which. Find out in a minute. We got to pull the, and it's going to be a 15. We got to pull that off. While we're over here. Watch your fingers when you do this. And get in here and get these bolts out of here. Yeah, that's right. Oh, we got a third bolt over here we got to grab. So we'll put our tensioner bolts up here. And that short bolt goes in the bottom of the tensioner. And we got two long bolts. And we'll switch this over to our electric ratchet. Put our socket up there and we'll get these out real quick. Okay. Set all your bolts in the same spot. Grab your tensioner. Right. Set that up there like that. Pull this out. And if you want to, set your tensioner bolts in the holes they came out of. That way, you can put this on the table and you know where your bolts go. All right, so we got tensioner off. Thermostat's been pulled back. I think it's basically ready to come out. So we got to pull thermostat out. This here, we got to pull it out of the unit because we got to reuse the housing, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so we'll set that down there. We got to get those two heater hoses off, which shouldn't be too hard to do. And get these two heater hoses off down here. These clamps, they don't give you much room. So you gotta go down to there on that one, and then you gotta take this one loose over here on this side. And if you want to, since you got it aimed in the right direction, you can tighten it down a little bit more. Now if you're doing heater hoses, this would be a perfect time to change those. Not necessary though to do this job, but if you feel like you need to do that, you can do that. We're gonna grab our pry bar and we're gonna pry those hoses off. Because I'm not playing games mode right now, so take our pry bar and we're just gonna pry these hoses off. I don't know, they might come loose on their own. See if we can get them to come loose. Let's grab our 90-degree pick. I don't want to damage them because, oh, never mind. Never mind. Still don't want to damage them though. Let's see if we can get those to turn. These are usually my turning pliers right here. They do a really good job. There we go. There's this one. That one came off pretty easy. This one back here usually comes off pretty easy too. You got to get it broke loose first. You take your pliers and you just kind of rock it back and forth, and then it should come loose. And take your screwdriver and pry it back a little bit, see if you can get that seal to break. After you get the seal to break, you can get the hose off. Alright, let's get a pick in there. Pick in there. There we go. And you just take your pick and you just kind of push it around like that. Bring it around like that. Usually, if you can get 3/4 of it broke free, it'll come off on its own. Then you take your pliers and you rock it back and forth again, like this, like that. See how that's moving a little bit now? Then you can take your flat screwdriver, and if you're lucky enough, you can get that hose to pry off, like this. You might want to sometimes grab a hold of it from the back and just kind of tug on it a little bit while you're prying on it with the screwdriver. You're not really prying on the hose. There we go. Now it's coming. Once you get that initial seal broke, they usually slide right off pretty easy. Like this. And that hose is off and that hose is off. Leave them in their orientation, that way you know how they go back on. Of course, if you forget, one's larger than the other. Alright, so we got those hoses off, we got thermostat out. We got to go after water pump bolts. So let's see, we got, well, let's look at our old water pump, or our new water pump. Give me 1 minute. Okay, we've got 6 bolts. So I'm going to zoom you in. I'm going to get the 3 on this side, and then we're going to flip you around, and I'm going to try to get you in so you can see the 3 on the other side. They're 10mm. So we're going to crack them loose, and then we're going to get the ratchet on it. Got that one there. We got this one down here. Alright. And we got this up here. Alright. And then I'll zip those out with the ratchet. Bring you over here so you can see the other 3. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it from back here. So what I'll do is I'm going to pick the tripod up and I'm going to show them to you. Alright, so that's one of them right there. There's one up here underneath that pulley. A third one is right over in this corner over here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there in that corner. So I'm going to get those 3 and then I'll bring you back when it's time to pull the pump off. Alright, we're about ready to pull this water pump off. So I got all the bolts loose. So I just got them in here, so we're not going to worry about pulling those out right now. We'll hold this with one hand and finish pulling this last bolt out. And there goes the rest of our coolant. Put our tool up there. Sure all of our bolts are loose. And that one's loose. That one's loose. That one I'm probably going to take out the rest of the way with the hand ratchet, because this pump's going to be heavy and I don't want to try to handle the electric ratchet and the hand and the water pump at the same time, so we're going to do it this way. That way I can kind of control the drop a little better. You heard our fluid, or antifreeze, fall down into the tank, so see what I'm talking about? Alright, we got our bolts loose. Alright, and you pull this up and back, and go ahead and we can take our water pump off. Pull it straight forward. What's falling? I see stuff falling, or I hear stuff falling, but I don't see stuff falling. Unless it's those, nope, those are still attached to the engine. Alright, so you get your pump back. Let's get your bolts out so you don't lose your bolts down in the antifreeze. So we'll pull our bolts out. And we'll set our driver's side bolts over here. Pull our passenger side bolts out and put them on the passenger side of the truck. And then we'll finish pulling this water pump out. Grab our... Oh, we got a bolt stuck in here still. That's why it's not coming out all the way. There we go. Alright, and we'll go ahead and we'll pull this pump out. Like this. Easy does it. Make sure that nothing got reattached, like this little rubber hose right here. Pull it nice and easy. Straight up and out. Just like that. And if you had your misfortune like I did, where you had the hose on there, grab the hose too. This is over here on the bench. Alright. Water pump is out. Okay, so we gotta get our scraper out. We gotta scrape that off. We gotta get that gasket off of there, so that's gonna be a scraper job. I don't know what dropped, but whatever it is, it's probably not important. Oh, hang on a minute. This is one of those kind. Okay. You gotta... Oh, okay, this is what they call an integrated thermostat. All right, let me show you. All right, so this thermostat won't work. Okay, so this thermostat won't work, and I'm going to tell you why. All right, this is one of those where the housing's not been changed. On thermostats that come from the factory, I'm hoping you can see this okay. Yeah, you can see this fine. All right, you have what is known as an integrated thermostat. So what that means is that this thermostat is part of the housing. So if this thermostat ever goes bad, and this one feels fine to me, if this thermostat ever goes bad, change the housing, and the new housing won't have these tabs on the side. If you get a replacement thermostat from General Motors, you're going to have to collapse this center section, rotate it 90 degrees to get it out of the lock. Then you can lift it up and out and then put your new thermostat in. Because this is how it is, we're not going to change the thermostat. So I'll take that thermostat back and I'll get another seal if I don't have one in my kit, and we'll just put a new thermostat seal on it and reuse the thermostat. And then if he has an overheating problem later on and we got to go back in to fix it, we'll get a housing, because that's the only way you can solve that. So let's go over to our bench and start getting that water pump tore down. All right, I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but we're going to try it anyway. We're going to start off by getting the hose off of it. Then we're going to go after that pulley. Okay, and then we'll scrape off our engine and stuff off camera. So we'll do all that stuff off camera. Oh, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on getting this hose off. Now, what I was trying to do on the truck was get a screwdriver down in the backside and break that free, because it should slide right off, but I can't get anything back in there because the engine's in the way. So these are your gaskets, by the way, so in case you're wondering. So to get down in here, we got to get down in here like this, and we just got to kind of work the hose. These like to get stuck on there, especially because I'm assuming, based on all the trouble I've been having getting this thing tore apart today, this is an original water pump to this truck. So it is actually, because there's the GM part number. Now if we want to, we can take this cover off and look at the pump itself, but this thing had bearings failed in it, so that's why we're changing it. It leaked like a sieve. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised we got as much fluid out of it as we did, to be honest with you. Alright. Trying to get that broke free, and then we can rotate our hose. Nope, we're not rotating yet, so we gotta get down in there and get some more of this broke loose. This is the headache of the job right here. Trying to get this hose done. See how I'm prying up on it? That usually will pull the hose off the top, off the surface, and it will cause it to slide. This one does not want to slide, but if you do this technique, be very careful, because if you got an old hose, you'll poke your hose. Ah, there it is. I heard it. Got the last bit of the seal off, so now we can pull the hose off. Yeah, it's been bad for a while. Looks like it might have had some bars leak in it, or some really old fluid, old antifreeze, whatever. We'll take our hose over and put it on our truck. Set it over here on our truck. All right, now we got to get the fan blade off. So to do that, let's see. I'm gonna set this down inside the pallet bench here. Let's see if we can get it to sit. I don't know, can you guys see that okay? And I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring you over here so you can kind of see what we're gonna do. You're going to kind of get the overhead view of what we're going to do here. So I got it parked in the bench, right? So now I got it parked in the bench. We're going to take our pry bar attached to our wrench, and we're going to put it back in here. We're going to use the small one. I'm going to pull up on it. You see, I'm going to pull up on it, and we're going to see if we can get it to break loose this way before we get creative with it. I'll tell you this much, I have never, in the history of doing this, I've been doing this for about 30 years now, 32 years. I've never had a clutch fan give me so much trouble before. So this is definitely a first for me. See if I can get it down on there. Just kind of. All right. Let me try this real quick. Put my pry bar on the end of it. Actually, you know what? If we can get this thing, you know what? Better idea. We're gonna see if I can get this to sit down on some cinder blocks. That way I can put my foot down on it, and then we can break it loose that way. So let me see here. gonna be sad when I don't have a spot to do this thing. I'm gonna have to build me a spot in the new shop. So let's see, let's get it down inside the cinder block. Oh, hey, that's even better. And set it down inside the cinder block, like that. And then we can take our wrench, lock it in place, and then use that, and then we can break it free that way. It'd be easier if I had a second person, but I don't. Oh, my goodness. This thing's on there, I'm telling you. I am not making this up. This is not dramatic effect here. This thing is legitimately jammed in here. And I am trying legitimately to unjam it. I'm running out of ideas. Oh, let me try something. Let me go get Big Bertha. That way we don't have this rotating around. We'll get Big Bertha on it. She'll come loose, guaranteed. All right, let's saga continues. Let's get Bertha in here. Oh, I think this is broken Bertha. No, this is Bertha. This is the right one. Yeah, see, this is the right one. Yeah, get her locked in right there. Get our gloves on. See, she's not gonna. I gotta hold my foot like that because I don't know if this is actual Bertha or if this is broken Bertha. So I do have one called broken Bertha, and that one needs a gear pack in there, and I haven't ordered it yet. So this might be broken Bertha. We'll find out in a minute. All right, let's go. Finally, told you Bertha comes through every single time. Tell you what, new technique. Make sure you write it down somewhere in case you need it. Now we can get this fan off of here, start putting this truck back together like we should have done an hour and a half ago. So, all right, so we'll set this flat like that, get in here, and we'll hold our pulley still, and we'll spin our fan blade off. One piece of information you might want to tuck in your brain when you do this: make sure you don't come in contact with any of the fan blades. If you break those off, you're going to have to buy another fan. So just do like what I've been doing and just stay centered on the nut. You'll be fine. There's our fan. Yeah, see right there on that, there's a rust ridge. I'll show it you here. There's a rust ridge right there where it was caught. So, and then we're good to go on the fan. Oh yeah, you can see it. All right, I'm gonna show you how you can determine a bad water pump. All right, first of all, you got a weep hole. That's right there, okay? That sits down, so your water pump's like this, okay? That's the first sign you got a problem, when you got coolant coming out of there. And we've had coolant coming out of there, you can tell. Other thing is you can grab this pulley, rock it back and forth, okay? I'm trying to stay in the shot here so I can show you. See that? You can hear it. What has happened is that front bearing's no good. It's usually worn down. When it's rocking like that, that front bearing has let go. And so it's causing coolant to come out of the weep hole. Now on our new one, you can't rock it. If you do, take it back because it's not right. See, I'm moving it, I can't move it. So it's nice and solid. And this one also has a weep hole in it. No, it don't. This one does not have a weep hole. So, all right, well, that's how you can tell your bad pump. Also, you can take it and spin it, and you hear, I don't know if this one will do it, but let's see if it'll do it. Take your pump on the vehicle if you want to. You can take the belt off, spin it with the fan blade if you want to, however you want to, but yep, this will do it. Hear that? Telltale sign of a bad water pump when you can hear that noise. Except it'll be louder. Now this one over here, I'll show you on the new pump, should be silent. No noises. Good pump, bad pump. All right, now that I've got that done, let's go to the truck, get the new pump installed. Then we'll talk a little bit more about the thermostat issue, because there's instructions in the box about thermostat, and I've got a part number for you too. So let's go over here and we'll get you set up right here. I'm gonna go get the box so I can give you your part number. We've also got to clean our surfaces off too, because we still got gasket on there. So let me get that for you. All right, so water pump, we're using an E307 340 from the O'Reilly, not a sponsor. Although if they want to sponsor me, I'd be happy as punch to do it. All right, this kit comes with all your gaskets. All right, so let me show you what we got as we let our train go by. All right, so by this period in GM's history, we've gone to using metal with rubber impregnated gaskets for everything. All right, now this also comes with the two separate thermostat gaskets. That one right there, that ring, is the one we're going to use because we have the original housing. But if this had a replacement housing on it, we would use this one. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll use all of them but this one, and we'll put this one in our parts bin for future. All right, so this says here, this is what the two-piece thermostat looks like, okay? So we don't have a two-piece thermostat, we have a one-piece thermostat. Of course, this also tells you all the different models this fits. So, so that's how we're going to do it. I'll let the customer know that we couldn't change the thermostat. So, and I'll tell him why. And I'll let him know that if, before he gets it back, we're going to have to let it run and idle and come to temperature, because I got to set his coolant level. So if it overheats, we'll know it's thermostat related, and I'll just let him know we got to swap out the thermostat. So let me go grab my scraper. We'll get that scraped off. I'm not going to show you that part because that's just kind of just part of the job. I mean, if you know, you can scrape stuff, I'm pretty sure. So let me get that engine cleaned up and we'll get the water pump put on. All right, so I got our engine all cleaned up. Here's our gaskets we're going to use. Now, the way these new gaskets work, if you haven't seen any of my videos, because we also use similar gaskets on the DTS, on the oil pump housing, or the oil filter housing, they use similar types of gaskets. These are known as a press fit gasket, so you don't put anything on them, not even anything to hold them to the engine. All you do is you just line these up to the back, and then you feed your bolts through, and the bolts hold them on. So that's how we're going to do it. You can do one side at a time if you want, or you can do them both at the same time. I try to get them done both at the same time. So let me show you these gaskets. They're multi-directional, but you got to line them up just so, like that. That's how that gasket goes. Then this is the passenger side. So what I like to do is hold it with one finger, grab my water pump bolts off the cowl, and send my water pump bolts through the housing like this. And what this does is this will hold the gasket in place if you do it right. Once you get two of them through, the third one usually goes in pretty easy. And then as long as you keep this level and you don't tip it down, the gasket will stay on. See? My gasket's on. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then you can get the other side started. So you'll get your 3 bolts for the other side, feed them through. I don't know if you're seeing any of this, but we're going to make sure you can. All right, so I got my 3 bolts in, which is these 3 over here on this side right here. I'm gonna take my gasket and I'm gonna line it up with my shape, because sometimes, yeah, there we go. These will tell you how they go on. And then you take your, and you can push them onto the bolts. All right, so now we got our hardware on. Now it's just a matter of getting it down there and getting the bolts in. Now, there's some bolts on this truck, like these bolts, they have a curved end to them. Those are called lead-in bolts. So, as long as you put this down, let me get you in a position where you can see what I'm doing, because you can't really see anything from there. All right, so you can see everything from here, I think. I'll get this big stupid hose out of the way so you can see what we're doing here. All right, so we're working right in there. All right, so I'm gonna zoom you in just a little bit. There we go. And I'm gonna show you how this pump goes on. So you just take it level, take it straight down, and then what you wanna do is you wanna get it down in here, and then you wanna line up your bolt holes for your pump. All right, keep in mind that you got this thermostat sitting right here. You gotta mess with that, because that's going to affect your alignment. So we'll pull that thermostat back, and this sets down just like this. And as soon as you get your, see, that's why you don't want to tip it, because your gasket will fall off. You don't want to tip it backwards because you'll lose your bolts. So you got to keep it perfectly level. Once you get a bolt started, the rest will just fall in line. So just get one bolt started on that side, and then you can pick this side up, get the top bolt in on this side, just get it started. You don't have to tighten it down. And then you're going to push your pump up against the truck, and these bolts should go in fairly easily. You're going to get to a point where they're going to go in and stop, which is normal, because that's what they're supposed to do. And then you're going to take your ratchet. You're not going to take the speed wrench, but you're going to take your ratchet, and you're just going to snug these down. And you're feeling for anything out of the ordinary. If they go in nice and smooth like this one is, you're fine. But if it feels like it's going in a little bit rough, back it out and try again. Because that's what it feels like to cross thread a bolt. You do not want to cross thread one of these bolts. Guaranteed you're going to have a bad day. So you want to get these till they stop, okay? And you're going to do this all the way across. You're going to put these bolts in till they stop. Now if you get to a point where they get loose and you can spin them by hand like this, set your ratchet down inside your bottom of your radiator cover there, and you can spin them in by hand like this. You can do that. You want to get them till they stop. When you stop turning. So we're starting to have difficulties here, so I want to get up on the end there. This is what they call choking the socket. I know there's about 3 of you out there that just started to giggle when I said that, but can't help it. So spin these in by hand. Sometimes you'll have a burr either on the bolt or on the vehicle, and you got to use your ratchet to get past the burr. After that, you're golden. Do not tighten these up yet, because what we're going to do is we're going to torque these to 18 foot-pounds, so that way our gaskets will seal. You want to run these until you start feeling resistance, and then you want to start on the other side. Do the same thing on the other side. Get these in. No order on this, but what I usually do is I'll do the top, the bottom, and then the center, just like that. That way all my bolts are done, and you don't risk cross thread. Okay, after consulting with service data, torque specs on them bolts are 30 foot-pounds, not 18. So I apologize. So let's torque them down to 30 foot-pounds. We just want to get this done. We still got to change out 2 pulleys. So we'll get our torque wrench set up. 30 foot-pounds right there. And we're going to start over here. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take the extension off because I don't like how that's tightening down. We'll run it directly off the torque wrench like this. We're going to do it this way. Sorry about the ding-dongs there, kids. All right, there's that one. Yeah, I kind of like this way better. There's that one. Sometimes if you don't like how a bolt feels when you're putting it in and you're doing torque, you want to take the extensions off and run it straight. Because a lot of times this extension will deceive you. We got that side done. We got to get this side done next. So we got some looseness on our bolts. So we'll make sure we get our bolts tightened down. We'll start on the bottom and we'll work our way up like we did on the other side. Try not to ding that too much. The only reason I'm using the extension on this side is because of the fact I can't get in to get those bolts with just a regular torque wrench, so I have to do this. But as you can see, it's only the short one, so it's not like that long one. Come on. There it is. Sometimes these scare me when they go in. They scare me because I feel like they should have clicked and they didn't. There's that one. All right, we're done. All right, we got that done. Let's get these hoses hooked back up. So we got this one here. This one goes back on right here. This one goes back on over here. And then we'll put our clamps back down. We're going to work our way around the water pump, saving this one for last because it hooks to our radiator. We're going to get our shroud down, then we're going to put that big hose on there. That way it's all done in one shot. We're also going to wait and put the fan blade on next to last as well. So, all right, now if you didn't change your hoses, you'll have this mark in them. Try to get this back in the same spot it was in before, or as close as you possibly can. If you can't, then that's okay, but try very hard to get this thing to go down in the same spot it was in before. I think it went like this. See, close enough. It'll seal, trust me. Make sure your hoses is all the way up against. Now we had a bit of a space on the old ones, so that's fine. We got to get in here and we got to get this clamp. All right, so we got to get in here and we got to get this clamp. Once you get the clamp attached with your pliers, you got to get this clamp on here. Then you want to kind of twist on it a little bit, and then you want to turn your vice grip knob down to where you can get this thing to open up as wide as you can. If you were unsuccessful in locking the clamp down, that is. If you were successful in locking the clamp down, then you can slide this down with your fingers, and then when you get down to where you need to be, trip it with a screwdriver, and that clamp will pop right open, or it'll shut. Ow. This end part here is a bit of a pain in the butt. Come on. Come on. And we gotta close it up some more. It's not wanting to fit on the last quarter mile here. There we go. We gotta close it down some more because we're not quite there yet. There we go. Now this one has a little sleeve thing on it, so we're gonna roll it back and let it go. That hose is on and it's sealed. It's not going anywhere. Of course, when we run it, we're gonna check for leaks in here, make sure we don't have any. All right, so the next step's the thermostat. So we're gonna need our thermostat piece here too. That gets snugged down, okay? Let me get you over here where you can see the thermostat real good. Right down in there like that. We're gonna use our O-ring. And we're going to put the O-ring inside the seal space right here on the housing. Again, you don't put nothing on here. Feed the thermostat into the hole, making sure that your seal does not leave the gasket surface because it will want to jump out. And you just kind of just press it up in there like that, and then you grab your two thermostat bolts right here and put your thermostat bolts in. Always start them by hand. I don't think there's a torque spec for these. I just think these gets tightened up to snug because that O-ring does the sealing, so should be fine there. Just make sure that if you have to move this, that you don't move it too far so that you don't disturb that seal on that gasket. Those are 10s, so I got to get my 10mm that we just used on our torque wrench. Socket here, and we'll just kind of put it on the bolt and kind of level the bolt out so you can get it through the hole. There we go. Now, like I said, you just want to tighten this up by hand. So, run them down, and then when you get them down, just kind of tighten it up by hand. There's that rubber, that O-ring is going to do the sealing for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Go down here and you just tighten this down like this. That's good enough. So it's nice and tight, but you don't want to get it too tight, you'll break the bolts off. Then you're going to have to drill these out and whole bunch of problems. Okay. That one's tight. All right, next step is tension pulley. If you did your due diligence, like I did, your pulley should look like that. Okay? And that goes right here. So we'll take our pulley and we will get our two top bolts in first. That bottom bolt goes in this bottom hole right here, right above the thermostat housing. And you just want to spin these bolts in. There we go. Okay, and then we can tighten them down by hand. I like to tighten these down by hand so that if anything funny happens, I can catch it. All right, that one's good. That one's good. And that one's good. Okay, so now we've come to the part of the program where we need to change that pulley. So let's grab some pulleys. All right, so we got a flat pulley and we got a grooved pulley. So I think they're both the same size bolt. So let's see what we got here. We have an idler pulley and we have, all right, there's our flat pulley. Okay, goes right there on that one. And that one's bad. You can hear that. And this one, that one's kind of rough too. So for the flat pulley, that's your part number. All right. On your grooved pulley that we're about to change for your tensioner, that is your part number right there. And that is your pulley. All right. So we'll change these out real quick. Pretty fast and easy system here. Set your pulleys up on the top. Take your 15. Loosen that bolt up. We're going to take the pulley off. This is why we're doing this all at the same time, because we're getting ready to put the belts back on. I like to put the belt back on before I put the fan blade back on so that you're not fighting to get the belt over the fan blade. So you take your bolt out and you pull your pulley off. Now a lot of people, they'll just replace the, ooh, this one's crusty. Show it a minute. They'll just replace the tensioner. Well, you know what? If the tensioner still works, why are you changing it? So I just do it this way, since you can get the pulley. This one you want to line it up on the stud. Then you want to spin this down. Now you want to pay attention, okay? Because this pulley has a lip on the back. That lip goes towards the back, okay? And the reason for that is so that it keeps the belt lined up on the flats that we have on the rest of the system. Some people, they'll rotate them around to where the flat's on the front. Well, if you look at the original pulley, well, see, the original pulley, it's got a raised flat on either side, so you want to do it this way because you'll see when we get the belt on, it does make a difference. So we're getting ready to put the belt on here in just a minute. This you want to tighten up as tight as you can get it, but not too tight. Because if you try to go too tight, you're going to activate tensioner. But you want to get it tight enough to where when you use that center bolt to activate the tensioner, that, you know, you can actually get it done. This one here's next, so we'll go ahead and pop this one loose. Actually, we'll speed this up a little bit. We'll use our speed wrench here. This is the best time to change out your pulleys, is when you're changing out your belt. Or when you got your system broke down like this is the perfect time to change it. Okay, now let me show you this here. This pulley has that grabber in it, okay? Okay, for those of you that are wondering how you get this little retainer out, you got to get locked in with your pick, just like I did here. Then you get on it with the back side, and it spins right out, see? That's how you get this little keeper off of here. Now, a lot of people I know, they'll cut that keeper right out. They'll get it up far enough where they can get a pair of side cuts in there, and they'll cut it right off because they don't want to mess with it. But if it's a customer's car and it's there, then you put it back the way you found it. But if it's your own car, you can do what you want. So, keeper's off. We can go ahead and get our other part on. You'll see why it's beveled in a minute, because we have this, got this piece here that goes on the back, and we have our front, and that's what that looks like. So the way this goes, you got your piece here, and you got your piece here. And this goes on the back. This is a centering device, so that centers inside the bottom there. And then you take your little clip that you spent 20 minutes to get off, you sit it tabs facing out like this, and you can either spin it down like this, and you can spin it down, or if you can get a socket and push it down if you got a socket long enough. I think I do. Okay. Just take a socket like an 18mm socket and just kind of shove it down like that. Shove it down on there like that, and you'll be good to go. What'll happen too is as you tighten this up, that thing will screw down on top of it and it'll also lock in, if you're lucky. I, however, have never been that lucky, so most likely what's going to happen is that thing's going to get trapped on the threads. I'm going to have to pull it back off and fix it. So to avoid that, I'm just going to push it down by hand like this. Just kind of shove it down like that. And then we're just about ready to put our pulley back on. So you got to have this on there because of the way this is designed. So let's see, I got a 15 deep socket here. Let's see if we can get this thing to press down to the 15 deep socket. Got to hold your bolt up with your finger, and you take this and just jam it down on there like that. We're ready to go. All right, so let me get you back in frame here. We are working not there. We are working over here, that empty hole underneath the alternator. So all right, make sure our pulley moves, and it does. We're doing fine. Don't worry about this space right here. You can also get the GM version of this. That's your part number if you want to go old school with it. Which this piece here fits perfectly in there, but I'm not worried about it. I mean, it'll still work. This is more shaped like a Ford type pulley, but it works the same. So good thing about this is you can just get it started by hand like that, and then take your ratchet and tighten it back down. Don't use electric gun on this unless you are confident in your abilities, because it's really easy to strip this hole out. It's only aluminum. And you need to put this piece back on it because it centers the pulley. Because this bolt is not a shouldered bolt, so it won't center. And if you don't have this pulley centered, your belt won't stay tight and it'll squeal. Tighten that up like that. Check our pulley. Pulleys are good. We're ready to put the belt back on. All right, so let me draw your attention to something here. Let me draw your attention to the belt routing chart. Okay, so most vehicles built after 1995, some before 95, they have this little thing called a belt routing chart. So on the belt routing chart, based on your engine, we've got three types on this one. We've got V6, which this is not, diesel, which this is not, and V8, which this is. This little dotted here, that's an accessories belt that's separate from the main serpentine belt. So the way this says this thing goes is this is your harmonic balancer. Comes up around the water pump, down around the power steering pump. Goes up around the alternator, down underneath that pulley we just installed. That's our tensioner. So let me get you in a position where you can see, and we're going to put this belt on. So give me just 1 minute. All right, I think this will work. Yeah, this will work fine. All right, so I got my tensioner ready to go with my claw foot. So we're going to set that up here on top of the engine block. We're going to grab our belt, and based off of our chart, we're going to run this belt. So we got harmonic balancer right here. So we got to wrap this up and around. So we're going to go up around the power steering pump. Okay. Make sure you get your grooves in. Then we'll wrap this back around here. And it goes underneath the power steering pump, which is over here. Come back up around the alternator. Oh, we're running out, so that must mean we're doing it right. underneath the tensioner. And we are at the point of tensioner, or underneath the idler. So that must mean we got it right, because we don't have any remaining belt. So I'm going to get my belt tensioner locked on here. Okay. A lot of times the way you want to do this, I'm going to show you a trick. Don't put it underneath that idler yet. Put it around the tensioner first, and then hold your belt tight down like this. And then I'm going to show you this. Take your pulley, right? Your tensioner tool. Pull this tensioner forward just to where you can get it underneath that pulley. And let's see if I can get it underneath that pulley. You got to pull this real tight. So you slide it underneath that pulley right there like that, and we're done. Look at that. Our belt is on. We are ready to go. And it's exactly how it's supposed to be, because if it wasn't, you'd have excess belt left. All right, so now we're ready to put the fan blade back on. So let me go grab the fan blade, and I'll move you. Well, actually, you're in a good spot where you're sitting. Let me go get the fan blade, and I'll be right back. All right, let's get this fan installed. So we're going to get it down on our pulley, and we're just going to rotate it. Okay. All right, we got to get it started here. A lot of times these will spin on. If it didn't spin on, we'd have to go get our wrench. We're still going to need our wrench, but I'm going to show you why here in just a second. All right, you see how it stopped? It's not tight, so let me tighten it up. You don't need Bertha for this one. So we'll find our end, which is over here, and we're going to attach it to our pulley, and we're going to pop it. We're going to hold our belt still, and we're going to put a little bit tension right there. That's tightening it up. It is tight. It is not going anywhere. All right, now we got to put our upper shroud back on. Notice we haven't put our upper hose back on. We're not ready yet. We got to get our fan shroud down in. So we're going to set our shroud down. Now it has some alignment tabs on each side, so you can line it up. Make sure it's sitting on the alignment tabs. Then you want to get your bolts, which you took out in the beginning. Set your bolts down in your upper core support here. Start them by hand. You seeing all this? Yeah, you're seeing all this. We're getting our bolts installed for our radiator. All right, so let's get our radiator bolts installed. Let's get our 10mm on our ratchet. We're almost done. We're almost done. This is a really long procedure, so it takes a while. Get your bolts in your core support. Alright, that one's in. This side in. Alright, that one's in. Okay. Alright, now we got to get our push pins installed. They go down in these holes down here. I don't know if you saw that or not. Let me show you now. Since we got a better view now because we've got... Alright, so let me show you where these are. Those are your push pin holes right down there. You got one there, and then you got the same on the other side. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to put the push pins in. Then we're going to get the radiator upper hose installed. Once we get the upper hose installed, then we can put the air cleaner back together. And we lose our push pin somewhere. Well, we'll find it later. If not, I've got spares. All right, so we'll take this one and push it down in this hole right here. Hold the two pieces together, put the first pin in, push that down, and come over here and we'll get these two put in real quick. Put these in here. Now if you want to aim these in the direction to where the tabs are facing back, and by that what I mean is these have a lock or a space for you to grab it with your tool. You want to aim that in a direction where you can comfortably get to it again if you have to take this cover back off. That would be ideal. So you can always spin these if you have to. I got those back in. I'll get him another pin for that, so don't worry about it. All right, so now we got to get that upper hose on. So here's our upper hose that we took off earlier. Now there's an end that's marked radiator and the other end is marked engine out. So that's our radiator. You see that? You see that real good? Radiator up. And then this side says engine out. So it goes like this. Okay. So we'll feed this down on here like that. And make sure it stops on the stop. We'll put our other end on our radiator over here. Just wiggle that on there. Then we'll get our vice grips and clamp that down. Alright, so we gotta move this thing again. This thing's in the way. This is our retainer. This holds that little baby hose. It gets in the way sometimes. We gotta get it down past the throttle body, which is gonna be a whole lot of no fun. We gotta pull our pliers back so we get our clamp engaged. And then we can tighten our clamp down to give us the best possible grab on our clamp. And slide our clamp down past the throttle body. Maybe. Gotta tighten it up some more. There we go. There we go. And we can kind of loosen it back up and get a better grab on it. Tighten it down. That's basically all you're going to be doing with this, is just loosening it and tightening it, loosening it and tightening it until you get the clamp down. Now, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a visible space here for this to sit into. We just got to get it down to that point. And then we can go ahead and let it go. And it seats right perfectly too. I don't like where they put that clamp, but it's not my place to decide. And then this piece here rolls back down inside of there. We can put this hose back on. So this hose goes like this. This hose goes in here, under here, and then on the top of the shroud there. And we got to come over here and get this piece installed. Get you. Let me move you over here so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to put our clamp back together. So let's put your clamp back together. Alright. We're just about done here, folks. After we get this clamp on, we got to put our air box back together. And then after we get the air box back together, then the rest of it I'm going to do off camera, because it's just basically filling the coolant system back up, running it, checking it for leaks, making sure it doesn't overheat. If it does leak or it overheats, we got to figure out why and all that stuff. So that's all part of the technician part of the job. You'll have to do it on your vehicle. I'm pretty sure I've shown it on other vehicles that we've done here at the shop. So it's the same process. All right, so we got that done. Let's get our air box installed. So let me get you moved over into that position so you can see the air box. All right. Now, best practices for this is to separate it, okay? And so normally what you would do is you would separate it right here on this clamp, and then this piece here would fall down, and then you'd lock that in. However, this does not want to separate, so I'm going to show you how you handle that situation. All right. Actually, I think we're going to have to move this hose out of the way. because we had to take it off to get it out. I'm gonna set this down. All right, we got a boot that goes on there. You gotta line your boot up. There's a notch in it right here. This end, it's got a lip on it. That lip goes on here. So you gotta find your notch, which is right down here. So you're gonna put this back on like this. I'm gonna line that up and pop that back on like so. Make sure that your notch is lined up like so. All right, and then we can take this down, and then we're gonna lock that onto the throttle body like that. Tighten it back up. All right, let's get this tightened down. 5/16 nut runner, in case you're wondering, or an 8mm if you want to stay metric. I have people commenting all the time about why I use certain tools. Well, just because they work better, to be honest with you. All right, we got to make sure we get our mass airflow sensor wire up. Line up your screw holes for your top. And then I'm going to use a Phillips screwdriver on that, put it back together. Largely in part to Phillips screwdrivers won't tear out the center as badly as the flat would. Okay, so we got everything done here. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up and let it run. You've seen the procedure before. So make sure you comment, subscribe, hit the buttons, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one.